I'm back with week 4 of my October 2024 horror movie sweater knitting project. And if you haven't seen the other videos, you can go back to week 1. There's a playlist and see what the project is all about and what the plan is and everything. And now I'm just about done with the sleeves, so I'm on my way to finishing for next week. And before I dive into things, real quick, in case you're watching this within about a week and a half of when it's coming out, and if you're in the US, be sure to vote and be sure to especially do a little bit of research in your local elections, local stuff, local people, measures. That's where your vote really matters and counts the most. So be sure to go all the way down the ballot and vote on all the things that might improve your city or region. So do that. And let's get into it now. So the sleeves are just simple sleeves. So all the stripes are in a row here. 7 movies this week. I forgot to say last week, I kind of spaced on, I'm not knitting the sleeves according to the pattern. The pattern is for flat sleeves, seamed. I decided to do them in the round. One reason is when I'm doing 2 at a time, it's a little bit easier to keep track of things when they're in the round. When they're flat, I kind of have a harder time keeping track of where I am sometimes, although stitch markers can fix that. But I don't know, I like knitting them in the round better. I prefer not having seams on the sleeves, so there will be seams on the sweater and the shoulders and stuff, but then the sleeves will be round. Also, I was able to take 2 stitches off because I don't need selvage stitches for seaming, so I made it 2 stitches smaller around the round, which I was thinking I was cutting my yarn super close, so any number of stitches I could trim off would be helpful. It turns out I'm not actually cutting it that close. I did run out of the light aqua color because there was a couple of wider stripes in the body of the aqua, so I ran out of the aqua at the end of the stripe. All the other colors I kind of have plenty. I'm running pretty low on the brown, but I still have some. I have a lot of the blue, so I'm planning on doing the button band in the blue, I think, just because I have so much of the blue, and there's a pretty good amount of the yellow and green also. I'm thinking about maybe adding pockets. It all depends on the fit and stuff, if that would make sense, but since I'm gonna finish it up within a couple days and I have till next week, I might decide to add some pockets, so come back next week and see what happens with that. So I ended up being able to make my sleeves as long as the pattern says, so they're not shorter like I thought they would be, so that's cool. So the first stripe down at the bottom, or the third one up because last week I did the first 2, was the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 1920. I had never seen it before. Pete had seen it in college and really liked it, remembered liking it a lot, hadn't seen it since then. So I bought the Blu-ray for him for a gift in a sale. It's a remastered fancy Blu-ray. It's really cool. It's pretty short. It's just a little over an hour, so it's not that big of a commitment. Obviously, silent film, 1920. It's all colorized, so of course it's black and white, but it's colorized according to scene, kind of. So for the most part, daylight scenes are colored in an orangish yellow, and nighttime scenes are colored in a teal turquoisey green. But then there's pink and purple too. There's really cool typography and all the dialogue and title cards and all the text that appears throughout the movie is all hand lettered, really cool. The entire setting is all completely handmade, hand painted. It's so cool. It's nothing I've ever seen before, where the entire world of the movie is all completely handmade. And then that combined with the silent film style and everything, it looks like nothing I'd ever seen before. It's visually just so freaking cool. The story's cool too. It's very influential on filmmaking, storytelling, into the future and into now. It has a framing device if someone's telling a story, so there's time jumps, and so it's this short old silent movie, and it just is both like nothing you've ever seen before and also super influential on everything you've ever seen before. It's really cool. It's I was so enamored with the visuals of it and stuff that I kind of like didn't even follow all the aspects of the plot. So I want to watch it again and kind of pay attention to different things. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's into film and the history of film and stuff, and the history of horror too. It is horror, but it's not like graphic or anything. Amazing. Yeah, glad I watched it. So for the next two stripes, I went to my local video rental store, which was really fun. I go there once in a while. I don't go as much as I should, but because it's not like super close to my house. But it's called Movie Madness here in Portland, Oregon. If you live in the area and you've never been, definitely go check it out. It's also like a movie museum. It has like all kinds of stuff. It has like the ear from Blue Velvet and like costumes from like Sound of Music and just like so much stuff. I can't even. Yeah. So besides the movie museum, it's a functioning video rental store, and it's really fun to browse. It has all kinds of like subgenres, especially the horror section has like a million different subgenres. So it's really fun to like look at all the little subgenres and stuff, and they have like newer release, like remastered Blu-rays and stuff, but even stuff that like never got a DVD or Blu-ray release, they'll have on VHS sometimes. Like there's so much stuff. If you have a local video rental store near you, wherever you live, definitely like go support it. It's a really cool thing to still exist. I obviously have a million things in all of my streaming watch lists and stuff, but you can go there and find stuff that isn't easily available on streaming. So I definitely try to like kind of keep a list going of movies that I like hear about and I'm interested in, but like aren't available to me on streaming. So when I go there, I can look for them. So that's what I did with this. So the first one I watched was Idle Hands, which is from 1999. I'd never seen it, even though I was like 17 in 1999. It seemed like I was the demographic for this movie, but I think it just seemed a little bit like gross and dumb at the time, and I was like starting to be a little tiny bit film snobby maybe in that late high school. So I didn't see it. It is kind of is gross and dumb, like it is those things. So it makes sense. Like I didn't love it. It wasn't like really for me. But I wanted to see it out of curiosity and just like nostalgia of the time and stuff. And it had an amazing knitting scene, which was definitely my favorite part of the movie, and worth watching just for the knitting scene. So that was fun. And then the next one I watched, another one that I hadn't seen at the time. I hadn't even heard of it at the time. It's called Cry Wolf, and it's styled with an underscore because it's like the whole movie is about like DMs because it's in 2005. So like AOL Instant Messenger era. Which I was definitely into that. I had no idea this movie existed. I'd never heard of it. I think it showed up on like a haunted hippie YouTube channel, like underrated movies of the early 2000s. That had a lot of movies I didn't remember ever having heard of. And this one was kind of like a so bad it's good kind of thing. It's like shot and edited really weird. It's like kind of glowing the whole time. Especially in certain scenes that are like lit inside rooms, it has like this halo. It's so strange, but like it was entertaining and I had a fun time watching it. And it had a lot of twists and turns to keep you on your toes. So I mean, I don't necessarily recommend it, but I wanted to see it and it wasn't available on streaming, so I was able to rent it and see it that way. Silly, yeah. And then I also rented a couple other ones. I've been averaging like 2 horror movies a day, so I'm watching a lot of other ones besides the Sweater Stripe, so rented a few more. And then after those rentals, the next one I watched, First Stripe, is from this Stephen King collection I bought used a while ago to kind of fill in all the gaps in my Stephen King viewing, because I had seen basically none of the ones in this whole collection. So I saw Pet Sematary for the first time, and which came out in like 89. So I was like definitely too young for it at the time when it came out, but I just never got around to seeing it. it was like way like darker and more brutal than I was expecting. So if you've never seen it and you're going into it, it's don't expect a light. I mean, I should like Stephen King. Like I've seen a lot of Stephen King stuff, so I should have known it wasn't going to be light, I guess. But yeah, pretty brutal, pretty dark. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it okay. It was like kind of shocking. And then the next two stripes were both new releases, this year 2024 releases that I watched on streaming, and completely like opposite movies from each other within the horror genre, technically. So the first one, horror comedy called Slay, and it's a vampire comedy horror starring 4 drag queens. And it's really fun. I had a really, really good time watching it. It was funny. It had some scary part. You know, it was definitely a horror comedy. It had horror and it had comedy, both. So I like horror comedies like that are both, you know, things. So fun vampire, had some fun kind of, you know how every vampire story is a little bit different, and so they play with that where within the movie they talk about all the different vampire things they can think of. They're like, oh, is it like a Twilight vampire, is it like a Buffy vampire, is it like a like Dusk Till Dawn, or is like Interview with the Vampire? Anyway, they had like multiple scenes where they were like referencing other vampire movies. So it was really fun. It was really just like a nice movie, you know. Like it makes you feel good and happy in the end. Nothing really horrible or devastating happens. So if you're like, oh, it's like a movie about you know, LGBTQ issues, or probably something traumatic is gonna happen, like it's not. It's like a fun, happy, nice movie that leaves you feeling nice and good and happy. And so I would recommend this one to like basically everyone, just for like a really fun time. Like it's not, don't expect anything too deep or scary, or it's just like a fun time. So that one is a Tubi original movie. So it's streaming on Tubi, which means it's free for everybody to watch. You don't have to have an account or anything, and it's with ads, so it's free with ads. And then the next one, another brand new or newish 2024 release. Technically horror. It's on Shudder, so it is a horror movie. It's a bit more of a historical drama, though. Kind of. I mean, not kind of. It is a historical drama. It's called The Devil's Bath. It takes place in 1750 in Austria, and it's in German. And it's by filmmakers who made a movie called The Lodge from a few years ago that I really, really liked a lot. That's a horror movie. It's kind of like religious horror. It's really great. It's really intense. This one was super different than that. So I actually didn't know it was them who made it until after I saw it, so I didn't even have that in my head, but afterwards I found out they made it. So I'm really interested in their work because those two movies are so different from each other. But this one, it really was a straight up historical drama, but it's about a time in history that some really horrible, horrifying things happen. So the horror comes into it through just real things that really happened. So that's what makes it horror. I won't get into what it's about really exactly, because it's kind of like a spoiler of the plot to just like say what it's about. But it basically has to do with definitely religion, messed up religious beliefs that really can mess up a society and people. Definitely gender issues, definitely mental health issues. All of these things come into what it's about. I will give you a content warning if you have issues with seeing stuff with animals on screen. Do some research. You might not want to watch this one. It's very dark. It's very brutal. I didn't enjoy watching it, but I did think it was a good movie. The last stripe we did last night was The Fog from 1980. So Jamie Lee Curtis, John Carpenter directed it. I had never seen it before. It had always kind of been on my list of kind of like classic, 70s, 80s horror movies to get around to seeing. It was really visually cool. It was very colorful. It had a lot of glowing bright colors. Like the fog itself, like glows blue-green, and then it just had a lot of scenes with like glowing pink and purple, and just very colorful movie in a weird way, because it's all kind of like at night, mostly. Yeah, visually cool. Good plot. Is I have issues with my mind wandering sometimes, especially if I'm kind of like just feeling kind of bouncy, brain bouncy. Relatable. I don't know. My mind was wandering a bit during this movie. Maybe a different night I might have been more focused. It's just kind of a me issue. But I got out of it enough that I liked it. So good one. I watched it on Criterion Channel, but there's other places I think you can watch it. So that took me right up to the exact end of the sleeves, and now very soon I'll be knitting the sleeve caps. To probably one more movie for the sleeve caps, and then blocking all the pieces and letting them dry. So a couple days later, I will probably do one movie to seam everything, and then see how it is. I might modify the button bands, or I might knit them exactly as the pattern says. I'm not sure. So I'll seam it and block it, and then try it on and make decisions about that. And then probably one movie to the button bands, and then if I decide to have pockets, we'll see. I don't know. I will have enough yarn. I also have enough yarn that I could have made it longer. I made the sweater significantly a chunk shorter than the pattern says because I was worried I'd run out of yarn. But now I'm like, I could add some length somehow. There's a few different ways I could decide to add some length. It would be kind of a pain to do that, because it's knit bottom up. But once it's all blocked and I try it on, I might make that choice. So come back next week and see what I end up doing. I'll be wearing a finished sweater. I have this other cat here who wanted to come say hi. She didn't really want to say hi. This is Rainy, who's much more shy than Carl and doesn't really like to come say hi. But she did come and sit right next to me out of frame. So, and Carl's right here. So everybody wants to say hi, but not really. Okay, see you next week. Bye.